Hey toy fans, I'm D21Beast and welcome back to my figure review series here on my YouTube channel. And today we're continuing our look at those 2015 Spider-Man Wave Marvel Legends Infinite series figures that are part of that Hobgoblin Build-A-Wave, or really kind of the Spider-Verse wave of figures that have been released this year. And before you, we've got Spider-Man 2099. If you're not familiar with Spider-Man 2099, he was created by writer Peter David and artist Rick Leonardi. He was first previewed in Amazing Spider-Man number 365, but then he would go on to get his own ongoing series, Spider-Man 2099, beginning with issue number 1. And Spider-Man 2099 is not actually Peter Parker, he is Miguel O'Hara from an alternate future. Miguel was a brilliant scientist who was working to recreate the process that created the original Peter Parker Spider-Man, and after a lab accident, ended up with powers of his own. Isn't that always how it works? But not too long after the Spider-Man 2099 comic book series came to a close, Miguel would become a card-carrying member of the Exiles, and he stayed on that team until the end of that book's run as well. More recently, we've seen Spidey 2099 in the pages of Spider-Verse, but that version of Miguel is actually a parallel version to the one that appeared in the Exiles. So with all that comic book history out of the way, let's say we start by taking a look at the packaging for this figure. As you come down the front of the box, you do have that Build-A-Figure Hobgoblin logo in the upper left. You've got the logo for Marvel Spider-Man there towards the center. You then have a window box packaging that does have this Spidey figure inside, as well as his accessories and Build-A-Figure pieces. You then have the logo for Marvel Legends Infinite Series, and finally the name for the figure at the bottom, Spider-Man 2099. Flipping this package around, as you come down the back of the box, you have that Marvel Legends Infinite Series logo in the upper left. You've got the Spider-Man logo in the upper right. You then have the bio for this figure. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. With ninja-like stealth, Miguel O'Shea fights against the dark future in the year 2099. Miguel O'Shea? What the shock, Hasbro? What did you do with Miguel O'Hara? Continuing down the box, you do have that Build-A-Figure Hobgoblin logo one more time. And then we have a complete lineup of all the figures currently available in this wave. A few of them I've already reviewed. And then you have an image of Hobgoblin off to the left there, the Build-A-Figure of this series. Alright, toy fans, well that's the packaging. Let's say we get Spidey 2099 out of the box and see what this guy's all about. Alright, toy fans, here we have Miguel out of the box, and I really enjoy what Hasbro is giving us with this figure. My favorite part about this figure, just at a glance, is the plastic that he's been molded out of. If you take a look at this figure, he's got this sort of like marbleized blue plastic, very similar to what we saw with the Nova figure that came out last year. And I think it really helps to give this figure some nice coloring and some nice definition to the figure. And it just kind of really looks cool the way that the light sort of plays off the figure. So I think that was a great start with this figure. But you'll see that he does have a sculpted detail on the mask here that's been painted red. And it looks very clean, just like it did in the comics. And then the rest of the spider, and I've seen it described online as a Skulltula. If you're a fan of Zelda, you'll probably get what that is. But he has sort of this red spider design, a red Skulltula design here on his chest and on his arms. And the paint came out very clean on that sort of design. Coming down the figure, he doesn't have any additional paint details going down the legs. But then he has these sculpted spikes here on the forearms, just like this costume has, and I think those look really nice. You'll notice that they've painted a little bit on the wrist here to kind of maintain the run of that stripe coming down his wrist. It does break a little bit when you articulate the hand, but I don't think it looks too bad overall, and I like that they actually painted the joints there. We don't get painted joints here, so if you're a stickler for having that sort of stuff painted up, you might be disappointed by that. I don't mind too much. Flipping this figure around, he's got a nice sculpted cape on the back, which is completely detachable. And then there's actually no paint design on the back of the figure, and I don't believe that's comic accurate. I do think he has the spider design on the back as well. I'll have to double check, but maybe it's been drawn both ways. I just always remember the spider being there. But overall, this figure looks really, really nice. It's kind of simple, but at the same time, what was done effectively. So I've got nothing to complain about here. One more detail I should note about this Spider-Man body sculpt is that the torso is actually elongated from what we got last year with the Superior Spider-Man figure or even the Amazing Spider-Man 2 figure. So this Miguel Spider-Man is actually a bit taller than what we got previously. I don't mind the difference. I know some people out there are kind of mixed on it, but Spider-Man's a slender character, and you know, if he's a little bit taller and a little bit slender, I think that actually works out for him. Miguel comes with all the accessories that you see here. The first item is the right Build-A-Figure arm for the Hobgoblin Build-A-Figure, and we'll look at that more in detail later, as well as the sword for the Hobgoblin Build-A-Figure, and again, we'll look at that later as we take a look at the actual Hobgoblin Build-A-Figure in a separate video. But outside of that, Miguel doesn't have any additional accessories, except for that detachable cape we already looked at. And again, this cape piece is actually really, really nice. It's got some excellent sculpted web detail in there, and even some holes sculpted on both sides, and it attaches to the figure pretty nicely, and I really feel like it completes the look of the figure. But other than that, there's no interchangeable hands or no sort of accessories to be held. That's all he comes with. Moving on to articulation, Miguel really shines. As we take a look at the head, you can see that it does bend down that far and bend up that far and rotates all the way around. Great range of motion. His arm does rotate all the way around at the shoulder joint, as well as having this butterfly joint, so his arm can bend in forward that far and bend back that far. His arm actually extends out and up in the body that far and rotates at the bicep. Has a double jointed elbow that bends in nicely, and then has a full rotation at the wrist that spins all the way around, as well as bending back and down that far. He's got the same articulation here on the other side. He's got a joint at the chest that'll allow him to bend forward that far and bend back that far. He's got full rotation here at the waist, and then he's got a hip joint that allows his leg to move forward that far, back just a little bit past standing position, not so much out from the body. He's got full rotation here at the thigh, and then a double jointed knee that collapses in nicely, and an ankle joint that allows his foot to move back that far and forward that far, and he's got that really nice Hasbro ankle pivot. Height-wise, we can see that Spidey 2099 does come in just a little bit over 6 inches tall. For some size comparison, here he is once again compared to the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Marvel Legends figure, and one more time compared to the Superior Spider-Man Marvel Legends figure, and compared to Marvel Legends Scarlet Spider, and the Walmart exclusive Ultimate Spider-Man, the Spider-Man Origins Symbiote Spidey figure, and because why not, the SDC exclusive Stan Lee Spider-Man figure. Hiya, heroes! What a team-up! Excelsior! And finally, here he is compared to the 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Infinite Series Wolverine. Alright, toy fans, well that's my review of the Marvel Legends Infinite Series Spider-Man Wave Hobgoblin Build-A-Figure Series Spider-Man 2099 figure. Overall, I really enjoy this figure. From the paintwork to the sculpting to the articulation, there's no reason not to love this figure. This is the third attempt at a 6-inch scale Spidey 2099 figure that we've received between Hasbro and Toy Biz, and honestly it's the best one we've gotten so far. If you've got one of those previous Spidey 2099 figure attempts, now is your time to upgrade. You could not go wrong with this version of Miguel O'Hara. Well, thanks for watching this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you saw here, please feel free to rate, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.